Director of Studies, Head of Section, Heads of Department, dear teachers, parents, and my dear ladies and gentlemen of AIS. Welcome to this meeting where we introduce the subject combinations that are available for the IGCSE classes. Dear parents, I'm sure it was only like the day before that you walked with your children to the KG or the year 1 class at AIS, and of course some of you may have joined later on. But now they have grown up to a stage where decisions have to be taken, and those decisions will have an impact on the choices that can be made later on. At AIS, we strive to give as many options as possible for our students in doing their IGCSE, or what some of you parents may more familiar with called the O level. For the record, since we are following the British national curriculum, in the UK they changed from O levels to GCSE a few years back, and what is now available to the international markets is something called the International General Certificate of Secondary Education. Now, there are a few things that you need to be aware of regarding this exam, which I would like to share with you, which might help you in making some of these decisions. Firstly, when it comes to the United Kingdom, there are several examination boards which conduct public exams both at lower secondary and higher secondary level. And as for Sri Lanka, we have Pearson Edexcel and Cambridge International Examinations, which are two different examination boards which have been operating in Sri Lanka for a considerable period of time. Here at AIS, we offer the exams conducted by the Pearson Edexcel Examination Board, and that's an examination board which AIS has been working with quite closely for a number of years, and we are quite comfortable in offering those exams. Please note that all universities and moderating bodies overseas consider both or all these examination boards on an equal footing. So whether it is Cambridge or whether it is Edexcel really makes no difference, because all qualifications are held in equal esteem. The second thing is with regard to the number of subjects. For the IGCSE, there is no minimum number that is prescribed. In a sense, students are free to take any number of subjects they wish to. But at AIS, we insist that every student should take at least 8 subjects, including English and Math, which are compulsory. So, the subject combination sheet that is before you will have 6 different columns from which you need to pick one subject from each column, which will then be combined with English and Maths, resulting in your child doing 8 subjects for the IGCSE. Now, the 8 subjects is the prescribed number that we require our students to do. That does not stop anyone who wishes to do more subjects doing those subjects. Only thing is that the school will not be able to offer instruction in those subjects because our timetables are catered only for 8 subjects. But any additional subjects, if any of you students feel that you are capable of doing one or possibly two additional extra subjects, the school can facilitate for you to sit for those exams, including the term exams conducted in school, but they will go as private subjects and you will be able to offer them through school as school candidates. But of course, you will have to be coached and trained for them outside privately, and that's why we call them private subjects. So, in a nutshell, you are expected to pick 8 subjects from the subject combinations that are available to you, and all of you will then be starting a 2-year course which will lead up to the IGCSE exam conducted by the Pearson EdExcel examination board. Now, there are some ground rules that we have in picking or selecting these 8 subjects, and that has been clearly specified in the combination booklet that has been given to you as well. And that is that we expect every student to pick at least one science subject and at least one subject falling within the broad definition of humanities when making up the 8 subjects. That is because the reason behind that is that an IGCSE qualification has to be a well rounded qualification and not one which is highly specialized or only loaded with a certain range or stream of subjects. That is why we don't allow students to do only science subjects or allow students to do only business subjects or only humanities subjects, and hence we want you to do a nice mix of subjects which will comprise of sciences, humanities, and a business subject in addition to the English and maths that you already have. So the basic idea is that all students take a nice mix of subjects which will look good and which will give a sound impression of your academic progress, which shows your capability of understanding concepts in a wide range of subject areas. Having said that, you also have to bear in mind that certain subjects have to be offered at IGCSE in order for you to be in a position to pursue with those subjects even at A level and later on at university level. For instance, the science subjects such as chemistry, physics, and biology have to be offered at IGCSE if you have an interest in following those subjects at A level in school. Of course, subjects like accounting and business can be taken even at A level despite you not having done it at IGCSE level initially. Now, once those ground rules are met, you have also then got to bear in mind that the choices that you make this year in selecting your IGCSE subjects have the consequence of what you will do at A level later on. So, therefore, children, even though you may not be fully decided on what you might end up doing for A levels later on, it is always best that you keep your options open and therefore do a range of subjects which will help you with making the right choices later on. To put it in another way, the more options that you have, the broader your options are, it will stand you in a better footing to make the right choices later on at A levels. On the other hand, if you go through with a very narrow scheme of subjects, your opportunities will be far less moving into the A level after your O level, after your IGCSE. And of course, what we already emphasized has to be viewed in the context of the individual abilities and the interest that students will have for specific subjects. As you know, not everyone is cut out to do every kind of subjects. So please have a chat with your teachers, discuss this with your parents as well, and make your choices, concern decisions that you make having regard to your interest in a subject area, the aptitude you have demonstrated through your middle school years in school, and then make subject choices which will stand you in good stead for the future. Please note that we have within this scheme the best possible combination that we can think of. Having said that, it will not cater to the individual needs of everybody. But unfortunately, the combinations that we have to work are within the capabilities of the school and that which is practically possible for us to do. So, if not many children have taken a particular combination or a particular subject in a particular field, we might have to even withdraw if we don't have adequate number of students picking that subject. But otherwise, you can certainly make your first choice, and we will strive as much as possible to give the combination that you have asked for within the subject combinations that have been made available to you. So I hope that you will give serious thought to the presentations that will be made to you, introducing the work content and the scheme of work that is covered in individual subjects, and then have a chat in the family and come up with a combination which will be best suited for you. So I wish to thank all the teachers who have put in the effort to introduce these subjects, and I hope that you will all be able to move into the Form 4 class confident that you have picked the right combination of subjects for you. Thank you very much, and I wish you a pleasant evening.
Thank you, Mr. Pereira. This is Ms. Shannon here, and I will be taking you through the subjects that are available and also giving you brief but important information regarding some of the changes that have been made to the IGCSE examination as a whole. First of all, it is very important that you understand that we are now following a new grading scale of 9 to 1 instead of A star to G. Now, the purpose of this is to improve the differentiation where students who are high achievers or extremely high achievers who score beyond the A star are recognized for their abilities and their talent. Moreover, as you can see in the diagram here, many of the grades have been split up in order to recognize the finer nuances of a student's ability. More information about this can be found on the Pearson Edexcel website, or you're more than welcome to speak to your Form 4 class teachers if you need any further clarifications. As Mr. Pereira mentioned in his speech, there is a minimum of 8 subjects that must be selected. If a student feels that he or she is capable of handling more than 8 subjects, that is definitely a possibility, but the school must be kept informed and students must sit for the examinations of those subjects whenever examinations are held. This is a very important document here, which details the subjects that are offered for our students who are entering the Form 4 next year. The core subjects, English language and mathematics, are compulsory. And then we have a range of humanities, science, business, and other subjects that students have the opportunity of selecting from. Things to consider when you are selecting subjects, it is whether you are interested in the subject. Are you actually interested in the subject, or are you doing it because a friend is doing it or a group of friends are doing it? Do you have a natural aptitude? So what happens, and that's something that we as teachers have seen, students select subjects based on whether their friend group has selected the subjects, irrespective of whether he or she has a natural aptitude for the subject. And that is actually a waste of the student's time and energy, because instead of channeling that energy into a subject where he or she has an aptitude for, the energy is focused into something that, is not, for a very frivolous reason. Of course, university choices and future career options play an important role here. Nobody is expecting students to have an idea of where they want to go in the future, but it is always advisable, as Mr. Pereira said, to have a range of subjects, which will allow a student to have some sort of diversity. I'm reminded of this lovely quote by Sir Ken Robinson, that human communities depend upon a diversity of talent and not a singular conception of ability. And that's something that is important to remember, that diversity and diversification in the subject choices made right now at this level are very, very important in order to give the student a more holistic um, experience of the IGCSEs. And that is why, and through that exposure, student is allowed to or able to acquire a range of skills such as problem solving and critical thinking, which are becoming more and more necessary as our world moves towards artificial intelligence. Excuse me. Now, access arrangements is something that we offer here at AIS. And here you will see the arrangements that we can provide for students. This is in the event that a student has, a specific ability, but is unable to to prove himself or herself due to constraints of time or anxiety. So we like to allow for these constraints, and we have a coordinator, Ms. Taraka, who arranges these things. Now, the process of being provided with these access arrangements is as follows. There are two approaches. One is that the parents can request the facility if you feel that your child needs perhaps extra time or would like the option of having the keyboard because he or she has sweaty palms or is able to express himself or herself better through the keyboard rather than handwriting, or if the student's handwriting is illegible. These are some things to be taken into consideration. Most often, however, it is the school that recommends the facility where teachers feel that students will be able to handle the exam pressure better if he or she were provided with access arrangements. So once the recommendation has been made, there is an informal assessment done at school. Subject teachers monitor and assess the student to see if this is a possibility. Then we have our SENCO, our Special Educational Needs Coordinator, as I mentioned, Ms. Taraka, who will come in and monitor. And then if necessary, we have our counselor also, who examines the student. And on that recommendation, we forward this case to a professional assessor who is recognized and registered with us, and a standardized assessment is conducted. Then, once this assessment is conducted, we process this information, or we send it to Edexcel rather for processing. And upon their approval, the child will be eligible for this facility for a period of 26 months. So ideally, if access arrangements are needed, they need to be identified in Form 4. So some students who have been perhaps in our intensive English program and so on, they will be given consideration for access arrangements. But this is definitely something to think about if your child may need additional help and support to get through this kind of, anxious exam. Moving on. This is the subject choices and the sections that they are available in. Apart from English and Math, which are core subjects, students must select one subject from each section. And again, you are reminded to diversify as much as possible, to pick a range of subjects as well. Now I will be moving on to individual subjects and giving you a brief overview of what the paper is like, the time limits, the subject area, and what is covered in the syllabus. More information is available in the subject choices booklet, which has been uploaded. Mathematics A. So at AIS, we teach the specification A qualification for as our mathematics qualification. And this allows students to develop knowledge and understanding of concepts, enjoy using and applying these concepts to become confident in solving problems, and of course to appreciate the importance of mathematics. So math is necessary, of course, and this specification will help our students to apply mathematics. So the question paper is straightforward. It deepens the student's skills, it's recognized, and it also supports progression to O levels if your child would like to, or if you would like to take math as a subject for your A levels. Moving on, we have English language. Now, English language, we have actually 3 specifications that are taught here at AIS. Specification A, Specification B, or ESL. The reason why ESL is not mentioned here is because looking at the current grade and the current students, we don't believe that many students will require to do the ESL paper, as they can manage with the Specification A or Specification B. Now, it is important to remember both specs are equally weighted. They deliver the same qualification, and there's no discrimination between the two. The difference, however, is that each specification plays to a different strength of the student. At AIS, if a student is doing literature, he or she has to automatically do specification A, and no exceptions will be made. However, the decision on whether the student picks specification A or specification B will be made at the discretion of the English teachers who taught the students in Form 3. This can be appealed eventually, but it is important to know that both specifications help students to read texts, understand them, to improve their writing, and to acquire and apply wide vocabulary. The compilation of paper specification A it's in 2 papers, so it's a longer paper. 2 hours and 15 minutes is paper 1, and paper 2 is 1 hour 30 minutes. And here you have the breakdown as well on kind of what skills are required. Specification B, however, is just one paper of 3 hours that is broken down into 3 sections. Moving on, we have biology. Now, biology is a core subject, and it's an important subject in order to understand the complexity of life, and it helps us to understand how to care for ourselves and the world around us. The course outline is as follows. So as you can see, there is a range of elements that are covered if students pick biology. The outline is also as follows, how it works, and the different topics that are covered. Apologies. So this is human biology, which is offered, as well as biology. These are 2 different subjects that we offer, and the course outline is different for each subject. The career options, if you choose human biology or biology, are as follows. So as you can see, your options are varied, but just because you pick human biology or biology, it doesn't mean that you are limited to just these career options. Moving on, we have chemistry, and it is important to understand that almost everything we do involves chemistry because it is a very practical based subject. And it improves students' analytical and logical skills. So it's a knowledge of chemistry is definitely very useful in your day-to-day life. The basic content of the syllabus is as follows, but it is important to mention here that if students pick this subject, that they give it their all right from the get-go. It is not a subject that you can cram for at the very last minute. So it is important that students are consistent right from Form 4 itself. So this is an important disclaimer that needs to be conveyed to students who select chemistry. Here is the assessment criteria. Again, you have 2 papers and there's a marks breakdown, but rest assured that a lot of revision is done beforehand for all subjects to prepare our students. Next, we have physics. So it is important to consider that if you are looking at engineering as a possible career option, you will need a background in physics. So definitely something to think about because physics is also fun. The course content is as follows, and these are the different topics that you will cover should you pick physics, right? And as you can see, they are also very diverse and they seem very, very interesting. The assessment also is done in 2 papers, and I apologize, there is an error here. This is not 2021. It should be 2024 that the students will be sitting for the exam. But again, it is 2 papers that is broken down. Next, English literature. So of course, the question is why choose literature? Because it is important for your analytical skills, for your critical thinking skills, and of course it helps you write very well. Many career options, but also it is important to stress that literature is a humanities subject that is considered to be very, very useful if taken either at IGCSE or A-level level. So it is definitely a diverse subject. The mark scheme is very, very streamlined and very transparent. We have what is called assessment objectives, and it's all about kind of hitting those assessment objectives. So we've started introducing students to this kind of writing style in Form 3 in order to kind of establish a foundation. However, it must be mentioned that just wanting to do literature is not enough. You have to have covered certain requirements in Form 3 if you are to pick literature. So again, this will be done at the discretion of the teachers, for we look at how you have performed in Form 3 and we look at your Form 3 Term 3 test marks as well. The paper also comes in 2 parts, and you have the texts here. We do To Kill a Mockingbird, Macbeth, Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, as well as an anthology of poetry. Next is geography. Geography is important because it is a subject that studies the world around us as well and helps us to have a deep knowledge and understanding of geographical concepts. And there's also a lot of field work involved here, which a lot of students use as a motivating factor to pick geography. Also, it helps in terms of employability, in terms of like a world that is changing because of our climate. It's definitely a very topical subject. And here is your outline. Again, 2 papers and the topics that they cover. Next is IGCSE history. And we have a very pertinent quote by Martin Luther King acknowledging the fact that every day we make history. So IGCSE history is a way to look at the past, understand the past, and also consider your present in order to perhaps make predictions for the future. So through this, you have an opportunity to retain a greater understanding of issues, and it definitely gives a boost for students who want to become lawyers, want to do international relations, consider diplomacy, economics, even students of literature will find IGCSE history definitely very useful. It is a bit selective in terms of the historical time periods that are studied. The two papers are broken down into depth studies and in breadth studies, and that is actually how history is studied now, not merely as stories from the past. We look at Germany and we look at the civil rights movement in the USA. We also look at Russia, the Soviet Union, and China. So very, very topical sections have been selected for students of history. Next, business studies. So the business subjects, rather, apologies, are accounts, business studies, and commerce. And if we look at each of these subjects, they are important in terms of learning the basics of bookkeeping, making important financial decisions, to understand what it is to be an entrepreneur, how to be an entrepreneur, how to work in business, basically, and also in terms of understanding how commerce works. If you look at accounting, again, it's two papers and how the topics are split over two exams. As you can see, this is quite self-descriptive. Business is also similar, two papers and 5 topics are split over these two exams. And commerce as well, it's 2 topics split over 2 exams, and you have 2 papers there as well. More information on each of these topics can be found in the subject choices booklet. Next is economics. There are many benefits of choosing economics at the IGCSE. It enhances skills that are needed in higher studies. Understanding economic concepts, especially in this current economic climate, is definitely useful. And taking it up at IGCSE level definitely gives a student a boost if he or she would like to do economics for his or her A levels. Many career options, again, definitely a topical, pertinent subject that is very relevant to our capitalist society. Many skills that will be gained, and as you can see, our teachers have brought in some very pertinent questions. Is Sri Lanka's national debt a cause for concern? The depreciating rupee, is this a significant problem for Sri Lanka? Again, it is a subject that fosters a lot of critical thinking and also helps you in terms of your writing skills, and definitely an area to improve your writing skills. The paper here is also broken down into 2 parts, and you have the time and the content given here. Another slide. Who can perform well at IGCSE economics? Definitely something, tapping into your common sense, using your general curiosity and enthusiasm, your writing skills, and you have to have reasonable math skills as well if you pick economics. Next up, art and design. Definitely this is a very specific subject, but a subject that has many rewards because it requires students to set your own agenda, to be autonomous, to exercise agency, to be brave in how you expose your creations, and develop the broader dimensions of your mind, body, and soul. So it is definitely a very emotive subject. Many career opportunities as well, but also important to understand that someone with a passion for art can also work in extremely lucrative fields such as architecture, graphics, or game design. The syllabus outline is also quite simple. 5 topics split over 2 years, and you have 5 periods a week for 2 years. You have to do a personal portfolio, and you also have assignments on the same endorsed title. So there is a lot of work involved, but it's definitely rewarding. Next is French. 5 reasons to say, oui to French. It is the 2nd most widely learned, 6th most widely spoken foreign language. It's a language to help learning other languages, because if you did not know, English is comprised of many French words and looks at French as one of its root languages. It is also a language of culture, and it is a gateway to accessing great works of literature, film, and culture, food as well. So why choose IGCSE French? Language skills are a big deal right now. Language for higher education, the performing arts, and much more. The syllabus is also covered over 2 years, 5 topics split over 3 exams, the listening, reading, writing, and speaking components. Right, so the reading and writing component comes as one, listening and speaking paper 1 and paper 3. Next, we have ICT, Information and Communication Technologies. So it is designed for the global learner. It is a very clear and straightforward paper, and definitely will assist students who want to pursue a career in IT. Will assist them in terms of selecting ICT for their A-levels as well. The structure of paper 1.5 hours, accounts for 50%. And here are your theory topics. Structure of paper 2, practical questions based on very, very significant and important applications that we use in our day-to-day lives as adults. So definitely a very practical subject that should be considered. Next up is further pure maths. Now this is to enhance the learning of students who have already achieved a certain level of mathematical competence. So it is also a very specific subject for a very specific skill set. And it is an additional level which extends, mathematical techniques beyond what is covered in the IGCSE mathematics. Here's how it works, the paper and the time, right? It's available in January and June, 40 marks distributed, and it contains questions from any part of the specification content. Next up is a new subject that we are offering this year for students of Form 4 or IGCSE, psychology. And the question is, why pick psychology? Because it explores human thoughts, behaviors, and developing an understanding of yourself and other people. So there is kind of a streamlined process how to manage that. The course content is also quite interesting. All topics are compulsory. It is a very specific subject which we feel can really enhance students in their kind of examination of the world around them as well. So paper 2, topic 11 is compulsory. And definitely that will have far-reaching effects for students who proceed to university and so on. Research methods is very useful. And there you have a choice between topics 6 to 10. Here's the assessment information, 2 papers again, and how the marks are broken down. And, there is a variety. So it looks like it's not an easy subject, but definitely a very interesting, rich and rewarding subject to consider. Thank you so much for your time and for your attention. I hope this presentation was helpful and informative. More information is available in the uploaded document, the IGCSE Choices booklet. If you have any questions, feel free to contact any of us at school. Thank you so much. Goodbye.